ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everything in between, and out of the realms of outer space, inner space, and every sort of space that you find yourself watching this show, we are here to review Survivor Series 2024. I am your Colonial champion, Sean McCarty, the Sentinel, the proprietor of CIW and the Court Martial podcast, ready to break down all of the events that took place just a couple of nights ago at the time of recording, maybe a week later at the time of release date. Who knows? Who cares? It's time to celebrate because we do review. And I do it with a good, hearty crew. But there is no pirating going on here, with the only exception being the Creative Commons license that's used by this man's channel, because who cares about any of those other licenses, because he's got to get this man some Manson. Please enjoy me in introducing my co-host for this evening and the master of the Totally Awesome podcast, a podcast that I will let him explain, JoshAgeddon.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our simulcast of WWE Survivor Series WarGames 2024. Like Sean said, I am JoshAgeddon, the owner and proprietor of TAW Gaming, post-TAP, JoshAgeddon 17 on Rumble. Go to Rumble, by the way. I joined Rumble last week. And also, Sean, I came prepared for this review. You know what I brought with me?
What did you bring with you, sir?
I brought a monster. I am ready to go.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! I just want to do a podcast. I just want to record. Don't shoot.
All right.
It's okay. I'll behave. I'll behave.
No, you won't. No, you won't. That is a lie. You are
right,
lying to our audience. Oh, and we also have a third man to introduce, don't we, Sean?
Yeah, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because guess what?
Oh, no.
I came prepared, too. Although mine didn't sound nearly as pistol-like as yours.
Well, fun fact, Marilyn Manson has a song called Pistol Whips, so this is just full circle.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
and that song sucks.
We also have a third man who is currently bleeding in the corner with a broken nose from said pistol whip. But he is a man that we love very dearly.
And it is Skyler Noteberg. He was unable to join us for the show, but he did send us notes. So and he only sent me the notes. He was like, you know what? Fuck you, Sean.
And you know what? I was going to make him an intro. And now I'm going to make... You know what? I'm going to make him an intro.
I am afraid.
Here's what you get, Skyler. Roll it.
For those of you that are still on the TAW podcast, just use your imagination. So, we have the preamble. Hello, folks. It has been a while since I've done proper grammar notes. Hopefully, I can entertain you guys with some somewhat okay notes that will make you laugh and not make you cringe. But making us cringe is the best part, Skyler. As a side note...
I think he's going to accomplish both. Without trying.
Yeah. We intentionally make you cringe. He unintentionally makes you cringe. As a side note, I'm not here because I'm dealing with some personal stuff that could not be addressed right now. I do urge people, if you are struggling, to please take care of yourself and get whatever help you need, whether it is family, friends, therapy, etc. In the meantime, while I deal with personal stuff, I will attempt to take my mind off of the bad and focus on this wrestling show. I don't know about you, Joshua or Sean, but my enthusiasm for WWE isn't as high as it was in the beginning of the year. Maybe I'm jaded or fickle. Hi, Brian Danielson, how you doing? Or maybe I'm just not interested in the WWE's sports entertainment formula. Or maybe it was the dread knowing The Rock is leaving his Hollywood bubble to try to stick his dick into the main event of WrestleMania 41, barf. Either way, I come into Survivor Series not quite at 100%, but curious nonetheless. I want to give the show a chance and see how things go with the wrestlers.
Well, Skyler, it is great to have you here no matter what form you are in.
Mm-hmm.
And now I guess it's up to us to actually make this worth listening to. And so way to leave us hanging, Skyler. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But I think we'll be able to slug through it. I mean, we barely are able to hold a conversation, you and I, most of the time.
Yes.
But we'll figure out a way to make it work. So for and just for you, Skyler. Survival Games 2024. What did you think of the show as a whole, Mr. Sir?
I thought the show overall was good. I've heard a lot of mixed reactions on this show. I've heard some people saying it was bad, some people saying it was kind of mediocre, some people saying it was really good. I'm kind of in between mediocre and really good. There were some matches that were absolutely excellent. There was one that kind of sucked ass. But overall, it was kind of... It was alright.
It was fine.
Yes.
It was just fine. I'm like in the point where it's like okay to fine.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going from like a okay, fine, good, very good, great, Rakamasaksa off, and we all turn into the Mario Brothers and go down the warp pipe.
For a second, I thought you said Rockin' My Socks Offa, and I was like, but he's dead.
No, I'm that's not what I said. That is not in fact what I said. It's too early to be saying those kinds of things, but the podcast is young. But of legal age.
Darn it!
In any case, I guess we should start with women in a cage, shouldn't we? This is don't blame me for this transition. This is just what happens.
Okay.
But here's where we go with this. Okay. I didn't tune in until Bianca got into this because I forgot that the time was an hour earlier than normal, which is something we should talk about. I didn't hate it though because the pay-per-view finished at a time I actually could do some things afterwards and I didn't feel like completely gassed. But this women's match, I'm gonna say this. It reminded me of some of the women's matches in the Vince era with some of its sloppiness. And that's just my piece as a whole. And we're going to break this down, step by step. But I got to let you kind of take the lead here, at least for the early going of this. Because when Bianca came in, I was like, okay, I really haven't missed anything. And then I saw a toilet seat. I'm like, wait, I have missed something. So why don't you go ahead and break it down for us, Mr. Geddon, and I'll catch up once I am able to catch up.
I'll just put it like this. It is very funny to me that the Young Bucks wrote a book called Killing the Business while women exist. Okay, that's partially a joke, but...
Suddenly I don't feel so bad about the transition I
made. Good Lord, this match... Okay, let me put it this way, Sean. You didn't start watching until Bianca came in. Correct. Sean, you know what I do for a living, right?
You are Spider-Man.
If only. I deliver pizza.
You're like 1/6 of Spider-Man's personality. How's that?
I'm kind of close to emo Spider-Man in Spider-Man 3, my favorite Spider-Man movie, but we're gonna talk about that another time. I deliver pizza at Pizza Hut, so that Saturday, I was scheduled from 5 p.m. to 12 a.m., and the show started at 6 p.m., so I was kind of bouncing between watching the show on my phone and, keeping my eyes on the road so I wouldn't die, so I could give people their pizza because pizza's more important than my life. So I was just glancing back and forth. It was honestly like listening to a podcast, except it was a live wrestling show. Do you want to know what the first thing I saw when I was like actually trying to pay attention to the show as it was live?
Oh no, I'm afraid.
The first thing that I glanced at while the show was on while I was driving, it had to do with Nia Jax in a chair.
Which part?
At that 10 seconds of just... that 10 seconds of what we're doing is fake. That was the first thing I saw from this match. And immediately I was like, oh boy, here we go.
Okay, so
can I just say
much right where I did.
It was before Bianca came in. It was Nia, Bayley, and Naomi when Nia was trying so hard not to hit them with the chair.
Oh, I didn't even see any of that.
Oh my God, Sean. It was so... You remember that chair shot that everyone makes fun of Hulk Hogan about when he was walking to the ring and when he gave Conan a love tap?
Yeah, yes.
It was worse than that.
Man, it's sad that Nia has improved so much, and yet everything I remember of her this year is like colossal botches.
Dude,
like crushing Lyra Valkyrie's lungs and the Hurricanrana quote unquote. Which and a couple other things in this matchup, which we're gonna get to.
Dude,
yeah.
Before this match, I'm gonna go ahead and spoil something. I was considering nominating Nia Jax for my most improved of 2024. After watching this match, I have some serious reservations on that now.
Yeah.
Who in their right mind was like, the fucking Orca, let's have her wrestle for 40 minutes. Let's have her start.
Well, I mean, I appreciate the fact that they're trying to, like, give her some, like, sense of, like, hey, she's not just, like, a whale balloon that gets gassed really easy and then peters out. You know, they're trying to say, like, she's not only just a monster, but she's a durable monster. And I'm like, okay, fine. I mean, she could have just done an ad for Flex Tape, and that could have gotten the same kind of but at the same point, I don't know what her kind of Billy Mays level sales skills are. So, like,
all I have to say is when we figure out what our grade is for this show, I guess you could say that this opening contest, that's a lot of damage. Did a lot of damage to the overall
there was
score.
a lot of damage done. I know, keep in mind, Josh, again, I did not see, and I did not go back to watch anything up until Bianca came in. Dude. So I will be doing a run-in and release myself from the cage at the same time, so...
I have so many problems with this match.
Fill me in!
My number one problem is this match, like... Okay, I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. Because everyone was dumping on this match, and I was like, oh my god. And the first thing I see is Nia Jax looking like she's about to bludgeon Naomi in the head with a chair, but then you could see her remembering, wait, we can't do headshots. And then change her mind, and then kind of hit Naomi in the side, and then turn around and give Bayley a love tap to the spine. On one hand, I'm glad the entire internet has bullied Nia Jax so bad that she's scared to hurt people now. That's a good thing.
I didn't think of it that way, but you can't deny that the safety of other people is not the worst thing in the world.
But my overall about this match, the thing that stood out to me the most is they would do one really cool spot and then immediately fuck up the next spot and then do a really cool spot and then screw up the next one.
Garbage after that.
It would, like, they would do something cool and then screw up the next thing repeatedly over and over. And I was like, God, I want to like this match because there is some cool stuff. Like, Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax did that. I can't remember who they did it to, but it was the Samoan drop blockbuster combination. That looked cool. I like that. But then they then they had Candice LeRae and Nia Jax set up this chair bridge that they kept knocking over, and they put Bayley on, and then Candice tries to do a moonsault on top of it, completely misses Bayley. It was the most ineffective
thing ever. Did Bayley have no choice but to sell?
Yes, of course.
As usual, poor Bayley has been put into some of the worst positions.
Also, I have never seen, you know the spot where you throw someone the chair and then you kick the chair into their face? They did that 4 times in this match. I've never seen it done so many times in the same match. 2 of those times looked good. The other 2 times, gentle love taps. There was so much. This was the most gentle WarGames I've ever seen. Going from CM Punk and Drew McIntyre and Hell in a Cell to this, my God. One of my favorite podcasters is the Solid Monster, and he did a review, and he said something that I 100% agree with. If you're too scared to do weapons, then don't do weapons.
Well, you want to talk about complaints. That's one of my biggest complaints about this WarGames format, and this is not exclusive to the women. This was something that I had an issue with the men's too. At this point, considering that we're just sponsoring we got 4 parts of the ring now being, sold off for different logos. You might as well have Under the Ring sponsored by a hardware store.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious, because it was like, okay, time to enter the cage. Wait, gotta stop at Ace real quick. Let's pull out a table. Let's pull out a chair. Let's pull out a table. Scan this, sir. I'm sorry, that's not my job. You're gonna have to just like use the thing, I guess.
I won't lie. Right. It did not bother me at all during the men's match, because whenever they did that in the men's match, it made, like when CM Punk did it, he was about to go into the cage with all of his partners down against Jacob Fatu and Bronson Reed. And I'm just like, you know what? I would want to go in with a weapon myself. And he grabbed a toolbox and he beat ass.
That. Right, like I get it.
But in the women's match,
it happens so frequently.
Every single time, every single woman that entered the cage from the shark cage had to go under the ring first. It was so irritating.
And it's of my opinion, personally, that the cage itself is enough of a gimmick that you could use it. I mean, if we actually cared about using blood, I know they're trying to be frequent about it. Like, they're trying to be selective about it. But, like, it seems like a war games where people are going to war that you could get whatever. But that's just me. I'm still thinking that, like, there used to be a time that you could use the cage and get a little juice, and that was enough of a gimmick to where you wouldn't need to use the tables and do all like the crazy shit that takes too long to set up, which was particularly the case in this women's match.
The worst part of the match, in my opinion, but we'll get to that.
Yes, we haven't gotten into Bianca's run-in, though, so I'm going to let you...
Real quick, I'm going to do something that I don't like to do, and you're not going to like it either. And Skyler's not going to like it.
Don't touch me there, sir.
I'll like it, but you won't. Which is part of why I'm doing it. But I'm gonna give AEW credit. At least when they have women do hardcore matches, they actually have women do hardcore stuff. The women in AEW don't prance around trying not to hurt each other. They actually, whether they should, we can have that conversation another day.
That's not what we're really talking about.
But at least in AEW, they're willing to go all the way with it. They do it too much, and it's stupid. But if you're not going to do it, then don't even pretend to do it. Like I'll give AEW credit as far as that is concerned.
Well, and also on top of that, if you want the women's division to feel special and feel like it's got equity, where it's like having this special feeling and effect, then have them have their own unique match stipulation that they can have to themselves. That's not just like pre-WarGames WarGames. You know, it's like I give the women's more of an identity. Let them have a matchup of a different quality, or do a 5-on-5 elimination tag, as we've mentioned before. Like have one WarGames and one traditional. You know, or something. You know, I just feel like WarGames in this situation, I don't think really helped any of the people that were in this match. And I don't think it really furthered any major stories other than, Rhea Ripley triggers furries. And, you know, but that was basically it. It's like, but, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm still not plugged into this yet. So
you're not. Like, honestly, when you tuned in, the only thing of note that you missed was Nia Jax trying really hard not to hit Naomi in the... Okay, in kayfabe, if you raise the chair, your goal is to give your opponent CTE. Okay? So you going, wait, I don't want to actually do the banned move, which is a chair shot to the head... So now I have to hit him to the side. Like, just...
And let me ask you something.
That was the only thing that you missed, honestly, until Bianca came out.
And how much are you really getting fined? And I heard that Naomi did a stink face to Nia with the toilet seat.
Yeah, that happened.
Because I must have missed that.
I wish I missed that.
I saw it later. I just didn't see it in real time.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I thought the toilet seat being in the ring was rather fitting. It was rather Lee fitting.
I was about to say rather Lee fitting.
And speaking of Lee fitting, I got a comment about him later on too, because it was not just the women in this match that were off the mark. Lee fitting did some things here, but anyway, so when Bianca comes in, I'm like, I tuned in when Bianca came in, and it's weapons and we want tables. Super.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I never really felt compelled to go back. But then you were talking about Nia not wanting to hit people.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just Nia though.
Yep.
Because none of these women, I mean, what I saw over the next 2.5 minutes was like Nia passed the chair. Like, it was literally like, here, hold this chair for me, opponent. And then they was just hand her the chair and then punch. But it was like, it wasn't like toss the chair. It was like gently hand the chair, like, here, can you hold this, please? Sure, got you, fam. Bam, kick.
And even the kick to the chair also looked like garbage several times.
Oh man, and it was just like, and but Tiffany got a pop.
Yeah, and that made me happy.
But of course we had a hardware stop before she comes in.
Yep.
And then there's this slingshot, and this is where everyone started working in Jello. The whole thing just started getting into slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
As they tried to do all these double team moves. And poor Bayley, they do this slingshot, and there's the slingshot, and then Bayley's just kind of standing there, as then Nia's like, oh right, body block.
Yep.
As Bayley was just frozen in time, unsure, like, do I sell? Do I move? Do I...
Why does this keep happening when I'm in here with Nia?
Bayley has been like the unluckiest seller of anyone, and she's so good at it. And they have just put her in bad situation after bad situation.
They are testing her in the weirdest of ways.
I swear to God, I do not want Bayley to leave this company because of this bullshit. Because like, it's something. And then again, Nia has another chair. Here, hold this to Naomi.
It was bad.
And then here comes Io Sky, and
I never want to see another WarGames match if Io Sky is in it. It has gotten worse than the Kofi Kingston trying to save himself in the Rumble bit.
So she walks 2/3 of the way across the rings to find where this trash can is. And first of all, why would you even put it there?
Why would you spray paint it?
Well, why would you put it there? Why would you spray paint it? And if you're gonna put it up, I mean, wouldn't you want to use it first? Not like, oh, let me just save this for a big spot I'm scheduled to do later. Like that's just silly. And also,
it's very
Vince-like.
Mm-hmm.
This was very Vince-like. I thought this whole match was.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that he's not involved anymore. So, but it was just dumb. And then it just took way too long to set up this thing with Io and Candice.
And then they screwed up the sunset flip powerbomb off the cage.
And then Raquel came in, and the crowd went deathly silent. This woman is a vacuum.
Yep.
For these fans. I feel bad. What did she do?
She's tall Mexican Zoe Stark. That's what she did.
I know, but like, she's trying though.
There are women in WWE that just have such a severe lack of anything that they're just a black hole of interest. Raquel is one. Sonya Deville is another. Zoe Stark is one. Just
Raquel right now is like Karrion Kross.
Hey,
it doesn't matter what this woman does. This crowd is just like, no.
Honestly, you haven't been watching Raw as of late. Karrion Kross has actually been in some decent stuff and has been getting reactions. So even that is too high of praise.
Oh, that's just unfortunate. That's just unfortunate.
Raquel Rodriguez Gonzalez Gutierrez she ain't hitting, bro.
No, and I don't think it's gonna happen. Unfortunately, I think that's I think we're gonna have to. I don't want to call it a lost cause, but I think it's gonna take an extended absence to really get her to a place where we can really. And maybe that'll require her to, wrestle in TNA or CMLL or some other place that can handle her development. But it's it's kind of a shame. And then we see Rhea in the furry mask, which I thought was, I guess it's cool.
I thought it was cool. It made me. I was like, huh? She's coming out here dressed as the shades of black.
Some people, I know, literally, as and then this is when I saw the toilet seat, and I'm like, well, when did I miss the toilet seat? But it's appropriate.
Well, you missed it because Naomi, when she came in, she grabbed the toilet seat and a colorful kendo stick.
Well, I'm happy to have missed, well, at least, well, both of those main interactions.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I did notice at this point, I'm like, well, I see we still have an action ring and a selling ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have figured out how they are shooting this fine show that they've got going on here.
And they sure are focusing on this particular ring a lot more than the other one. Except for when Lee Fitting's like, let's do a wide shot real quick. Oh, wait, never mind.
Let's do a complete 180 break. We'll get to that. We're going to get to that. So, I love when they start doing this war thing, and Bailey starts taking Bianca's hair and slapping other people with Bianca's hair.
That made me laugh. I actually really liked that.
That made me laugh. I'm like, there you go, Bailey.
There we go.
Use somebody else's hair. And then we get This Is Awesome chance, and I'm like,
yeah, really? I'm like, hard disagree, fans.
Really?
Hey, well, WWE, okay. Can we not go to Vancouver, Canada again, like ever?
Well, this crowd was easily amused. And then Rhea woke everybody up.
Yes. Okay, real quick. There was so much bitching and whining about Rhea Ripley on social media after this show. To the people that are mad that Rhea Ripley is, being pushed like someone who's over, maybe if other women on this show were actually at the same level or even close to the same level as her, maybe they'd get a push. Just saying.
Hardly has competition.
It's what happens when the rest of the roster, the division, kind of sucks ass.
Yeah, because, who you got?
Yeah. Raquel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Liv, and all credit to Liv Morgan, who I would argue is the most improved wrestler this year.
Honestly, this match made me change my mind from Nia to Liv Morgan.
Because Liv Morgan, she's not perfect. Trust me, she's not perfect.
No.
And we're going to get to when Liv comes in a second. Because when she comes in and she turns away and then she comes back with that fake-ass wiffle ball bat.
I knew that you were going to be, Sean was going to be like, oh, no.
And I'm like, a son of a bitch, man. Because I'm like, I went back, I'm like, that bat beat Rhea Ripley. It beat fucking Ronda Rousey. 3 times.
Yeah.
Before she came being tapped out within that mess of a feud. But again, Liv Morgan has been holding her own in that respect. But God, that wiffle ball bat was just stupid. Mm-hmm. But she brings it in, and then, okay. I do not know the name of this woman.
Oh, Dollar Store Sam Irvin?
This ring announcer, who is like, she's got a Super Saiyan haircut.
Oh my, I hate
and she
her.
Was trying to go Super Saiyan, but she was like Gohan in the first 80 episodes before fighting Cell.
that episode. You mean that episode where they're in the hyperbolic time chamber and Goku's like, you can't go Super Saiyan just by raising your energy. Yes. Use the pain of loss.
Woman. Yes, that's this woman. She is the Kid Gohan of WWE. And I say this somewhat affectionately because she's trying, but she sounds a lot like her predecessor.
That's the problem. She's trying too hard.
But to be fair, we said the exact same thing about Sam Irvin.
Yeah, me and you had a little bit of a...
we all came around on Sam Irvin eventually.
We have a diverging opinion on Sam Irvin, so I guess we'll just leave that there.
Well, I know you didn't love her, but she could have been way worse, I think. I think that it was the over marketing of Sam Irvin that was more the problem.
That also annoyed me.
But in any case, she tried to go WarGames, and she did not get Super Saiyan. She tried. There was a little bit of the wind stirred around her, but that's about all that she got.
I saw some people in the crowd, their hair go flying a teeny bit.
I love this analogy.
Me too. And somewhere her mentor, whoever Goku is just shaking his head disapprovingly. That's not how you do it. I know,
this is Sam Irvin had the ball squeeze, and this woman has the Gohan trying to go Super Saiyan. And then, of course, because it's the opening match, we have to go all out, so we get the handcuffs.
Yeah.
And this, I guess, made sense because it handcuffed Raquel, so she couldn't do anything to get any non-reactions.
Yeah.
Kept her out of
when
the
the crowd realized that it's actually worse. When the crowd realized that Raquel was handcuffed, they cheered.
Yeah, they did. It seemed like, oh, good, she's not involved. Great, love
yes,
that.
Thank God. Do that more often.
But before that, we have the Nikki ASH tribute of the evening.
This made me so mad. Okay.
I wish I had gone back to time how long this took. Because these women tried to fight for like a minute and a half.
Mm-hmm. The worst part, the absolute worst part, is the wide shot where you see Tiffany Stratton on the other side of the cage looking at Io, basically going, okay, any second now, Io. I'm waiting on Io. We have to do it at the same time. We have to be synced up. I wonder if we're synced up in another way, but we have to do it at the same time. Watching Tiffany Stratton wait for Io to get situated took years off my life.
Was painful.
It was
because then
awful.
Io stands there and she sees Tiffany waiting and goes, time to put the trash can on real fucking slowly.
When she was putting the trash can over her head, all I could think was da 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 da.
Yeah, I know, literally. And she puts it on and the trash can painted like Sagat. And she and she moonsaults. Check out the other channels. The link are in this description.
Yeah.
And they do this moonsault and the swanton, but these poor other 8 women who all had to stand there finally going, what the fuck, man? Just jump. This is like, I felt so bad for everyone just laying there on the ground, just having to wait for Nikki ASH to raise her hand. I mean, Io Sky to bring that trash can over her head. It just took, and then Io Sky had a Charlotte Flair moonsault and missed everybody. She literally went in between all 4 of them who did not catch her at all. At least Tiffany's half like caught her, and they all landed and spilled out. Like that half looked solid. But God,
I can't forgive. I don't care if it was the prettiest looking thing ever. I cannot forgive Tiffany sitting there and waiting. She should have dove early. I would have called an audible saying this looks so fucking fake, and I would have just went for it.
I know, but they're not taught to do that anymore.
It was so bad. It was so contrived. I hated it. And then we get to another thing in this match I hated. Speaking of Tiffany and trash cans, she pulls out the Money in the Bank briefcase, and the crowd pops. One of the few times during this match the crowd, gave us proof that they were alive. Except for when they randomly started chanting, "This is awesome." Like, was there, like, someone in the ring holding up a flashcard saying, do the "This is awesome" chant now? When Tiffany pulled out the Money in the Bank briefcase, there was a part of me that was like, are they finally gonna do it? Something actually interesting. Nope, it was another tease.
No, we gotta put out this fire with a fire extinguisher. It's got into the ring. How?
I now hate Money in the Bank. That was my straw breaking the camel's back. I hope to. It's not gonna happen, but I so badly wish that they would just retire Money in the Bank for like the next 20 years. I just do it already. Enough with the teasing. You've been teasing this constantly. Every single pay-per-view, every single episode of SmackDown. Every time I see Tiffany walking around with a briefcase, I'm like, oh, just do it.
Yeah, and now it's just like. It's gotten so
oh my
tired.
God.
I'm just over the concept. I said it at the Money in the Bank review that we totally had that you can maybe find on the channel. That the concept is just like, it's just tired. It's old. They've proven in recent years that it really doesn't mean much of anything at this point. And you know, and then we get this part here where Bianca Belair is going to do this like power bomb to Candice. That was like over the top of it was on the thing on the top rope, or she was going to do a power bomb because Candice was on it. And she was going to do like a buckle bomb or whatever it was. And Lee Fitting decided at that moment, as Bianca's got a good shot, to switch cameras to the complete other side of the second ring, so that we completely missed the actual power bomb taking place.
I also have. There was something I forgot about. Speaking of that, I have my own issue with Lee Fitting. Near the beginning of the match, I can't believe I forgot about this because it pissed me off when I saw it. Because I rewatched the show after I got home from work. During the early part of the match, when it was just Bayley and Nia, Bayley and Nia were in the middle of the ring over that steel grate, and Lee Fitting was like, "Let's get to the camera that's as close to them as humanly possible, just so we can hear Bayley call spots."
Yeah,
that annoyed me. That was the second time where I was like, oh God, here we go. Because they were fighting, and Bayley goes, elbow. And then Nia Jax throws a back elbow. And I'm like, ugh.
Well, and to be fair to Lee Fitting, he did get better all night.
True, but he was not on his A game for this matchup.
But yeah, this matchup was not great. And then we get that meat wall mutilation to Nia. Before we get the table spot. I like that little homage. Thanks for that, WWE.
Message sent.
And yes, absolutely. We got that a couple of times. And but the crowd cares for basically three people in this. Because they booed Nia. Every time Nia got up and did something, like her or hate her, they react to Nia Jax. They do. You know, to her credit, they react. But the only thing that the crowd cared for as this match got to a close was Rhea Ripley, Nia Jax, and Spots.
Yeah.
And that was basically it. And then Rhea won with the big rip tide through the table, and the crowd popped hard.
That I liked. That was like the main thing in the match I liked, which was, you know, the ending.
Well, and that was just it. The end result worked. We didn't talk about Rhea ripping off the mask to go, hey, I'm badass and wore makeup. I called Ronda Rousey's makeup artist and just said, go completely like wall it, the entirety of the face.
Give me a gash on my eye.
Yeah, I don't want wings. I want like
scars,
a blanket. And you know, and it was on to Liv, so there's a little bit of redemption there. You know, even though Liv is still the champion, so you know, it wasn't great.
No.
By any means.
No.
But it got the end result, got the point across. So fine. But I maintain that we don't need to do these women's war games.
We do not need women's war games. We do not need women's elimination chamber. We do not need women's Royal Rumble. We don't need Money in the Bank, period. Regardless of gender.
Agreed.
But yeah, like I liked the result, but getting there was rough.
Yeah, no doubt. What did Skyler have to say?
Skyler said he labeled this as women's war game clusterfuck. Not wrong.
Not wrong.
War Pigs by Black Sabbath is always hype, and we need more rock songs in wrestling, not generic pop or rap music. I don't agree with the first half of that, but I just very much so am in favor of the second half. I don't mind War Pigs, just not every year.
This is the third consecutive year that they've used it, so it is getting a little like, okay.
There are other songs that have the word war in it. Just saying.
And game.
Yeah. Having said that, I need to get on my soapbox for a minute while I rant about this. Normally on this podcast, I'm usually for women. I'm usually for equal opportunity for women and giving women the chance to do just as good as the men. Having said that, the talent in this match could not save this WarGames match and was easily the weakest match on the entire card. The sloppy nature of this match because of some of the workers in the women's match, the real lack of a reason why these 10 women are teaming together, the coordinated dives off the top of the cage with the trash can on Io Sky, spelled I-O, there's no Y. Io Sky's head had me rolling my eyes. Had me rolling my eyes.
That's how I write it in my notes, to his credit. That's how I write it in my notes. Saves me time.
Let me be clear. I love women's wrestling, but I don't love bad women's wrestling. Is there a difference? And there was plenty of it in this match. I won't say the entire match was bad because spots Belair, Bayley, and Rhea Ripley did were great. But oh boy, is Nia Jax not winning me over with some of these chair shots, and the lesser women could not hide the sloppy punches and forearms. And don't even get me started on the gymnastics routine Tiffany Stratton and Io Sky did. In all honesty, this match could have been the traditional Survivor Series 5-on-5 and have been perfectly fine. I 100% agree with that.
Me too.
This should have just been the traditional elimination match.
Yep.
Give the
100%.
women the honor by doing the historical match on this this pay-per-view is named after. I worry how this is going forward in WWE, especially since we have the IC and US Women's Championships further testing the depth of main roster WWE.
Oh no!
You're gonna feel this what's what he wrote in parentheses. Those NXT reinforcements cannot come soon enough. Amen to that.
Yeah.
I hate that they're doing secondary women's belts on both brands. It makes me want to die.
There's no point to that.
There's no point or the depth needed for that.
They can barely manage a tag championship. Barely.
And I have seen some discourse about how protected Rhea Ripley is and how Rhea Ripley never loses clean and always has to go over. For the idiot sitting in the back, shut up. The best women's wrestler in the world gets free passes for going over Brother Jack Dude Brother because she's the best, and until someone is either better or equal to Rhea Ripley, then no one should go over clean than Rhea Ripley. Amen to that. Everyone on X, suck my dick.
People are kind of done with seeing her and Charlotte Flair either.
Funny you mentioned that. Also, y'all must have forgotten how bad it was with Charlotte never going over despite her sloppy work, moonsault to a 1/10 of a person. So Rhea Ripley...
I can't.
Huh?
Well, I can't. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but like when you talk about the women that they work with, the problem is the only quality women they have, Becky's taking time off to be a mom, and Bianca is tied up with Jade trying to get Jade along in the tag championships. But if one of them were heel, like if Bianca was actually turned the heel that they kind of teased that she might, if Bianca actually did that, can you imagine the kind of length of a feud that we could have between Bianca and Rhea Ripley?
It'd be great.
That would be terrific. The problem is Rhea has no quality heels to face. Because even Bayley's a baby face.
The biggest
who cannot be anything but, considering how many times she's had to figure out what the fuck am I selling. On this edition of What the Fuck Am I Selling?
Dude, think about it this way. The biggest heel that Rhea Ripley has worked with is Liv Morgan.
And to be fair, Rhea has elevated Liv Morgan to a place where I can accept her being a world's champion.
Me too, as much as it pains me to
say that, but
me saying
true.
That would give 2023 back me a heart attack.
Yeah.
All right, so
but you know what?
To end Skyler's notes,
not being associated with Ruby Riott either.
That is true. So Rhea Ripley winning is fine. Rant over. Gets off soapbox.
All right. Well, now that we are going to use that soapbox to clean out his dirty, potty, profanity-laden mouth.
Yeah. How dare you, Skyler?
Yeah. We never, ever swear in this channel at
You're
all. We
fucking
never say
right.
anything that can ruffle any feathers. You know, we're nice. We're all real nice. And so the next matchup
Women
is
are
for the
great.
United States Championship. They are great. Women are great.
Just not at wrestling.
Not at wrestling. I was about to say the same thing. Oh man, that's terrific. Except for Rhea Ripley, which is why she's getting pushed.
That made me happy. Yeah, suck it, Twitter.
Yeah, so the next matchup is boy, you got a clash of styles here because it's LA Knight versus Noxsuke Shin Kimura, also known as Sith Samurai Shinsuke.
Darth Shinsuke.
Let me tell you something, man. I know I'm not the only one who felt this. They laid out that entrance for Shinsuke Nakamura, and half of that crowd went, "Oh shit, I hope he wins."
Yeah.
I swear.
Yeah.
Like, half the crowd was turned just on the entrance alone.
Yes. Although the funniest thing I saw on X was there was a picture on X of someone saying, "How dare they ruin Shinsuke Nakamura's awesome entrance with the Prime logo in the middle of the ring."
I know. Well, but Shinsuke, I mean, the whole look, the whole attitude. And I personally, I know people are like, well, the dude can't cut a promo. I'm like, yeah, but WWE has such an incredible video package team.
Mm-hmm.
The promo for this matchup, when I was done being silly and racist, going Honda Shingaru and doing all of that ridiculous stuff that I like to do because I've watched a lot of anime.
All right, Jinder Mahal that one time.
Yeah, exactly. So after I'm done being a mark for myself, I watch these promos, and they're really solid, and they're really quality stuff, and the way they're shot, and the way that Shinsuke kind of like matches that like half cartoon, but it's like not style, and then he comes out with this black samurai Darth Vader mask, and I'm like, okay, he better win. I love LA Knight. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, honestly, I felt the same way.
This right now, this may have killed LA Knight in this one night just from him. He literally got katanaed in the night. By Shinsuke Nakamura, who came in with that kind of went bing and just cut his push in half.
Honestly, I agree. Like, I'm okay with LA Knight. I've never really gotten the hype, but damn, Shinsuke looked good when he came out.
And not to say anything bad about LA Knight, he's still getting a pop. It wasn't a great pop in Vancouver. Because Vancouver was kind of weird.
Yeah, they were.
Like, it would pop for some things and then just be like, meh, for others. And it was never consistent.
Yeah, it was, and randomly saying, "This is awesome," even though they were deadly silent for like the past 5 minutes.
Yeah, they were deadly science. That's how it all went down. But I will say this: like, we get a collar and elbow tie-up. That's very nice. I go, hey, look at that.
Sean, clean up your squee.
I have to leave it here, actually.
You have to let it coagulate.
I have to leave it in a pile, otherwise it goes attacking villagers.
Okay.
But
okay.
I do like the fact, speaking of weenies, I do like the fact that Michael Cole clarified that you're only allowed to use one ring.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But this left me with some questions. But it was important to do, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it led me with a question. I think it might have been this match. Maybe it was the one afterwards. No, it was this match. So later on, there's a couple of really nice things that we're going to talk about spot-wise here in just a second. But forwarding a little bit, they go into that like middle zone.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the steel grate. And they start fighting in there. And my question is this. Because you can only use one ring, does technically leaving that ring and being on that little middle grate, does that then initiate the referee's count?
They could have further elaborated on that.
If you're in the other ring, do you still get counted out? Like, how does that work?
I assume so. Again, they could have elaborated.
I assume so too, But then when they went to go fight out on the grate, there was no count. So I'm like, okay, but if you're not going to penalize them for being over there, then you can use both rings. You could just get the pin in one. I don't know. I just felt I ended up asking more questions than maybe I should have watching a wrestling show. But that's I'm getting a little ahead of myself.
Sean, can I tell you something real quick?
Go ahead.
That spinning back elbow that Shinsuke Nakamura did was better than anything in the previous match.
Yeah, I was just about to go back and say that was pretty we went past that. But here's a criticism I have of Shinsuke Nakamura. He has the attitude of being someone who doesn't care, of like a ruthless killer, like the way that he was like kicking him in the head and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But Shinsuke Nakamura, my one criticism of it is he could pause every so often to just stare at the crowd and just let something register and just take a moment to just engage the crowd a little bit more.
Are you telling him that are you saying that he's not milking it enough?
Kinda. Yeah. Not all the time. Doesn't have to be, and it sure beats that, flip your dick and go, come on. It sure as hell beats that.
Or punching AJ Styles in the dick.
But, and listen, trust me, as somebody who has basically marketed kicks to the groin, I can respect that. But here's the thing. Just taking a moment to just stop and just, with that stone cold stare, just with the stare, just stop and just look at the crowd. Unfeeling, but just let them have that moment to embrace and then go, boo, you're kicking the guy we like's ass. Because I think it would register far deeper just taking half a second to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I think this was maybe my favorite match technically on the night. Because it's a singles match, and me in singles matches.
I know, you and your little love affair with singles matches.
But we got a burning hammer.
Yes, that is true. But seriously,
so, how can you complain about a burning hammer in a singles match?
As contrived and just bullshit as everything was in the previous match, I loved that back elbow and said it was better than everything in the previous match because it was the exact opposite. It felt spontaneous. It felt like a skilled fighter did a move that is hard to pull off and caught his opponent by surprise. It felt real. Nothing in women's war games felt even remotely real.
Yeah, and the same with that belly to back superplex that they did.
Yes.
Because it took half a second to get going, but it was still very good.
Like at least he did the enziguri kick to the back of the head to set that up.
Yep. Yeah, they did a pretty good job, and it was nice to have Nakamura. I think the way that Nakamura did it. Oh, that's right, because they did the Scorpion Death Drop out there.
That was brutal.
On the steel. And then, I must admit, it was abrupt, but I didn't mind it.
I honestly loved the finish. Because
it's one Kinshasa and done.
Yes. But honestly, because again, I was watching this while delivering pizza, and I looked at the screen. The second that LA Knight tried to go for the BFT, and Nakamura stopped him and went to the outside, a little light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, oh my god, Shinsuke's gonna win. And I was secretly hoping Shinsuke would win. The second he bailed to the middle of the ring with that steel grate, I was like, he's gonna do something kind of underhanded to use the steel grate to give him the advantage so we could hit the Kinshasa and win the title. And yes, I am patting myself on the back because I was right.
Well, and that's exactly what happened. And not for nothing, but they did kind of telegraph it a little bit on commentary.
Teeny bit.
With Cole and Corey. But you know what? Just from the commentary that I do with CIW and that we've done with TAW, you kind of have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's how you lay the groundwork for this stuff to really digest and register for the people at home. Because Michael Cole mentioned at one point, this is kind of a must-win for Shinsuke because he comes back and he looks a little different and then he loses and then he leaves for a while and then he comes back. They basically mentioned all of the criticisms that people say about Shinsuke. Mm-hmm. So then him having this moment, and I love that when he had this Kinshasa and pin, the crowd was like, oh shit, let's go.
Yeah, basically.
it was a wild, it was like a healthy surprise.
Yeah.
You know, and
my favorite moment of commentary on the entire show was actually during the entrances when LA Knight dropped the US title. On the spot, Corey Graves was like, he dropped that belt because Shinsuke Nakamura is in his head. He's off his game. He's nervous. And I was like, Corey, that's why they have you. And my God, you're so good when Vince isn't in your ear and Byron Saxton is nowhere near you.
You know what? If we really wanted to be expansive about the most improved, that's got to go to Corey Graves.
Yes.
Because Corey Graves, I have found every time that he has been behind the mic, he is the one really able to weave the story together. I mean, not that Cole doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Cole does. Cole gives you the facts. But then Corey's able to add a layer of the emotion behind it.
Mm-hmm.
In a really good way, and I'm impressed with the way that he still adds some level of technicality to it.
I was just so impressed with how quickly he came up with that on the spot to cover for LA Knight accidentally dropping his belt.
Yeah, not having Byron there, not having Carmelo wrestling so he can cream all over the commentary table, and not having Vince in his ear have proven that Corey Graves is a true talent on the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at commentary. I mean, and Cole is definitely, he still makes me laugh. I mean, having like real personality Cole is also helpful.
Yes.
And so it's but it's just nice. It's nice not hating listening to this show.
Yeah.
You know, because there was 15 years where we were like, this commentary team needs to eat a bag of dicks and die.
Basically, yeah.
And it didn't matter who they put in it. It didn't matter how they shifted tables, 2 guys, 3 guys, Renee, you know, it did not matter what they did.
How many shows have we done where a lot of our criticism was the commentary sucks? How many shows have we done about that?
When we started at SummerSlam of 2017, which was our first review ever,
mm-hmm.
we were complaining about the commentary. It took until beginning, maybe even middle of 2023 to go, okay, there's a difference here.
Yeah.
You know, it took a while. It took a while. We were like, Pat's good. Everyone else is a dumpster fire for a while.
Yeah.
And that was about it. We would hear funny things and just get mad most of the time. And now when Cole makes, you know, flubs like a chair at a table, we're like, oh,
yeah, that's
okay. It's like,
we
cool.
Forgive you, buddy.
It's so funny how that is all flipped. But speaking of overwhelmingly positive people, what did Skyler have to say about this matchup?
What a transition. Okay. United States Championship, LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura. If last year Nakamura was an anime villain in his feud versus Seth Rollins, then this year Nakamura has embraced his emo villain era. Joshua, just picture it. Nakamura coming out to a Japanese Marilyn Manson soundtrack and tell me that wouldn't work. I would absolutely sign off on that.
I'd be in for that as well.
During LA Knight's entrance, he either accidentally or purposefully dropped the U.S. Championship, and Corey Graves sold it as LA Knight not being as confident as he normally is. This is the small details WWE commentary does that AEW could never do. Fuck Tony Khan counter 1. I wasn't expecting that one, but I will sign off on that as well.
That's a good call, Skyler.
Yes, that is a good call. That is a very good call, Skyler. God,
this is great. I'm having such a great time.
This show was great. LA Knight dropping the U.S. title, that was great. I'm having so much fun. What a great show. It's weird that I'm not used to working for shows that have full buildings. The match was a standard 10-minute mid-card title match, which is perfectly fine for a pay-per-view. I do think LA Knight has cooled a bit as U.S. champion, but I have confidence that he can build it back up after his 4-month mid-card title run. I have a gripe, however, that needs to be addressed. Nakamura should not kick out of the Burning Hammer whatsoever. If WWE can get the pile driver over as dangerous, then WWE can afford to try to get the Burning Hammer over. I mean, if it was like an actual Burning Hammer, I would agree, but it was basically an inverted attitude adjustment. So I don't...
Yeah, I agree with that.
The way
I don't disagree because I think that there's some level of truth to that. I mean, you could say the same thing about a muscle buster, really, considering what it did to Tyson Kidd.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't see people use a muscle buster, really.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think there's a lot of moves that you can get over like that, but, like, Paul Heyman once, I think it was during one of the early Stone Cold podcasts that they did, like, in 2016, made a great point about, like, if you brought Mark Henry out there and said Mark Henry has the biggest head, like, the most vicious headlock that nobody can break, because he's got like the whatever size arms, and you bring him out there every week and he puts somebody, you know, kind of like the Chris Masters thing with the Master Lock, and you can get a headlock to be the most over thing if it's the right guy in the right circumstance with the right look and the right means of execution, right? You could do that with any move. Is the burning hammer that looks like just an FU really worth it?
Yeah, I would say no.
For that circumstance, like, so it just, I think it's just situational in that case.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with him though.
Yeah. Also, before you say anything about WWE no-selling shit, may I point you over to AEW, where Will Ospreay got tombstoned on the steel steps from the ring apron and still kicked out at 2 at Full Gear. Fuck you, Tony Khan, counter 2. Anyways, ranting aside, the finish worked because Nakamura does a reverse DDT tonight on the double ring steel apron, and then Kinshasa and LA Knight didn't become Superman and kick out. I'm willing to give Nakamura a chance and see how it goes. And then he follows that up with, Sean, I was willing to forgive Otis for shaving his belly at WrestleMania, but not for showing his ass to the entire world. Man, children suck in wrestling, and I hated this ad. I skipped this.
This ad needed Baron Corbin. Because I'll tell you what, I needed that dude to go, this is our cue to go.
Where have we gotten to as a society when we're saying, you know what would have made this better? Baron Corbin. To think about what you just said.
No, okay. I'll tell you what. Here's what I'll say about this segment. If this is what you're going to do with Otis and Akira Tozawa and Maxine Dupree, fine. Fine. Let them be your ad people and do this stupid stuff, because I'll tell you what, it is quasi-entertaining.
Yes.
So, Akira Tozawa's knocking on Otis's door. He's like, Otis.
Okay,
you know,
okay. Akira Toriyama saying Otis, I don't need in my life.
Yes!
I knew that would pop you.
Yes!
I don't need this little Japanese man going, Otis. Stop that. You stop that right now.
Oh, man.
Vertically challenged Japanese man.
And Otis is like, no, I'm nipples, or whatever his excuse was for not coming out. And Maxine goes like, no, I know what they need. These just desserts shirts. I don't remember what the ad is. We'll call it that. And then these are just the t-shirts that they're great and have. And then, you know, Otis comes out and she goes, how's the shirt? He goes, oh yeah. You know, and he went back to the Kool-Aid Man thing. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. And then I'm like, so far I'm not really that entertained by this. And then Maxine Dupree goes, oh, the shirt looks great, but Otis, you should put on some pants. And then he walks around and he blur out his ass as he walks down the hallway with this shirt on and no pants. I was just so caught off guard. I was like, wait.
Why does every single ad they do sexualize Otis?
You know what? I tell you what, I don't know why it's so hilariously funny, but like, this worked. Once again, I was not into this ad at all until the end, and then it got me.
It lured you into a false sense of security.
But see, what it did, because then when Pitts was Otis, and this is where we needed Baron Corbin, as Otis is walking down the hall, that's when we need Baron Corbin going, this is our cue to go. And, but it was, you know what? Keep this up. Do this every pay-per-view.
I don't know about that.
I want them
I
to
don't
get
know
more
about
and more
that.
ridiculous.
I
Like,
don't-
designate people to do this kind of stuff. Because it sure beats them taking up quality wrestling time.
Well, when you put it that way.
So, but we have, speaking of quality wrestling time.
Oh, yes. This was my favorite thing on the show.
I was about to say, this is what I anticipate was your favorite thing on the night.
Dude, this had my favorite person of them. Braun Breaker. Like, I don't even care who he wrestled. Braun Breaker.
Well, I'll say
Full
this.
stop.
I am rather impressed how over Sheamus continues to be.
Yeah. It was
'Cause
Sheamus
there's no real
and
reason
Ludwig
for it.
Kaiser. Although, real quick, I was in tears during Ludwig Kaiser's entrance. The way he, like, backed into the camera frame, just posing and styling, then turning around and walking to the beat of his entrance music, I was cackling. Ludwig Kaiser is so great at being Ludwig Kaiser. He's hysterical.
You know, he's one of the guys who caught my eye in one of the live events. I think it was maybe the day after Vince quote unquote retired.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to Bridgeport to see a live event in just a WWE live event where The Miz wrestled AJ Styles and had actually quite a good matchup. But Gunther was there, and I forget who he faced. Maybe Rey Mysterio. I don't remember. But Ludwig Kaiser was there, and even Amir was, who he hadn't gone to many shows, was like, dude, he's good. I'm like, yeah, I'm impressed with Ludwig Kaiser, and look how far this dude has come.
Yeah.
And this was 2 heels and a baby face, so I'm like, okay, this did kind of deteriorate into what every triple threat match does, but Sonic 3 make me squeeze, so I'm gonna allow it.
Dude, how lucky are we? The last show we watched and did a review on was Bad Blood, and one of the matches was promoted by Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. This one was promoted by Sonic the Hedgehog 3. 2024 has been a good year.
I love Sonic.
Me too.
And these movies.
Yes.
But I gotta say this, I didn't know whether Sheamus's babyface would be like enough to kind of counterbalance the heels. But I really am impressed with how this late into his career, Sheamus has got like longevity babyfaceness. Like, you've been around so long, even though you've done a lot of really uninteresting stuff, that we respect you enough at this point to want to see you succeed.
It's like, kind of like anti-Ziggler. Like, where Ziggler
Yeah.
Ziggler was around for so long, kind of like with Natalya, they've been around for so long that you could not possibly care about them doing anything. It's that, except there's this, like, yeah, but you're great. We love you. You've been there for me in the bad times and in the good times. You're my bud. That's basically how people feel about Sheamus.
And there may not be anything else for you to do except chase this Intercontinental Championship, and we really want you to just get it at this point. Not because we don't want you on our television, but because we just really genuinely want this for you. It's a funny thing, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it with Sheamus. But now I found this interesting. Now they're wrestling in the other ring now.
Yes.
Equal rights. And then there's of course, this is no DQ, of course, because it's a triple threat match. But I will say I did like Braun Breaker breaking up Sheamus's like barrels of the Baldrin or whatever he calls them. Their big barrel-like fists into the chestal section. And then Braun Breaker decided to casually fly.
He did that multiple times in this match, where he was like...
He did do that multiple times, but I'm talking specifically when they're outside and like right in front of the commentary
Oh,
tables.
I know.
All of a sudden he just shoots in from the camera angle, just tackles them like straight up like a lawn dart.
Dude, I popped so hard when he did that.
I thought that was, I laughed too.
I love Braun Breaker so, like, and the commentators sold it like mad.
They've been really good at doing that.
Yes.
And then, like, right after that, the flying clothesline, the Sheamus and Kaiser on the announce table.
And Michael Cole going, oh, shit. he basically copied whenever one of our shows has someone go through the announce table and we knock over the mic and we're like, oh, are you still there? They're stealing our stuff again, Sean.
Well, I'm not surprised. I'm definitely not surprised. And actually, this is a good time to bring that up. Because then I find out that I think it's Saturday night's main event. Or no, I find out that the Royal Rumble this year is on February 1st, which is the same night as one of my 11th anniversary shows that I've had booked for months. And I'm like, after all this stuff and after all the material that I've loaned you over the years, and then you're going to book against me? Like, what? I thought we had an agreement.
All of the stuff that I've non-consensually loaned you over the years.
Yeah, that I've let you have. And this is the way you treat me. I'm just registering because I know you listen to this stuff. I'm hurt. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed, Triple H. It didn't have to be like this. Anyway, let's get back to the match and not my ego-driven fantasies. As where were we here? Oh yeah, Sheamus creeping up from behind the barricade was quite funny.
Yes, it was. And Ludwig was the perfect person to do that to because he's so good at being an arrogant elitist asshole.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And no, he definitely understands his gimmick very well.
Yes,
and you could tell that
he's so like down to his mannerisms, just the way he looks at everyone, like gives everyone the diagonal side glance of I don't even want to look at you.
The disdain.
Yes.
The disdain he has for the general public is really palpable.
Yes.
As then we get Sheamus doing the double clothesline, and the crowd is going pretty nuts for Sheamus. He had some of the loudest reactions on the night, I thought.
Yes.
And then he does the Celtic Cross, and the near fall got the people.
Yes. Even though he hasn't pinned anyone with that move in a long time.
Yeah. Like over a decade at least. And because that's how long he's been here.
Yes.
And then I did love this spot here where Braun misses the spear and runs into the chair, and then a brogue kick to Kai and gets a 2 count, and then Kaiser pulls out the referee.
Dude, the way the crowd reacted to him pulling the referee out and then zooming in on Kaiser's evil grin.
Yeah. Oh, that was
God.
Brilliant.
That was when I was like, okay, that's the match of the night right there. That.
And then the intensity of Braun spearing both of them out of their shoes.
He launched himself all the way across the ring somehow and nearly Darth Mauled Kaiser. It was glorious. I love Braun Breaker so much.
And it definitely picked up at the end. I mean, there were some moments where it kind of got lulled. But Braun Breaker just absolutely powerhousing these two to end this matchup.
Dude, another one of my favorite things about this was the way the crowd reacted when Braun hit Sheamus with this. The crowd so badly wanted Sheamus to win, and the crowd thought that Sheamus was going to counter the spear out of the corner with the brogue kick. But no, Braun hit the spear, and the entire crowd went, "Aw, man."
Yeah.
It was great.
Which was great.
It was great. And you could feel the air get sucked out of the room as he got the 1, 2, 3. It was fantastic.
But I will say this, though. Knowing the WWE and knowing what they do, Sheamus' time for this belt is coming.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
It's coming. They've teased this for the better part of 2 years. They're going to pull the trigger on this at some point. You know they are. Like, I trust now that they're going to do the right thing by Sheamus.
Oh, yeah. I can't
Especially because Sheamus and Triple H like working out, and that basically is like sucking Vince's dick.
All right.
Working out with Triple H means you are now in the elite atmosphere of we will take care of you.
I'm just looking forward to the pop when he finally wins that title.
It's gonna be loud.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Could you imagine he wins the Intercontinental title at Clash at the Castle?
Oh.
And then Drew is so unbelievably bitter about that because it's like, I had 2 chances to have this exact moment, and your ass gets this moment, and I don't.
We have a new Intercontinental Championship feud right there.
I would watch Drew and Sheamus beat the piss out of each other until the end of time.
Agreed.
Nobody's going to complain about more of those matches. It's like what AJ and Daniels was for a time.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cared where. Nobody cared how many times. And just give us more of that shit.
Because they had such insane chemistry.
Yeah. 100%. Well,
speaking of insane chemistry, let's read Skyler's notes. Intercontinental Championship Triple Threat Braun Breaker versus Ludwig Kaiser versus Sheamus. I still hate Braun Breaker's ring gear. Positivity right out the gate. Just go black singlet and change your name to Rex Steiner. Nope, I don't agree with that one. This triple threat was fun because you got 3 of the most athletic and fun wrestlers in WWE just going at it with each other. This was a fun series of spots that was moving fast and had solid work for the most part. My main issue with WWE triple threats is they can be slow and plodding if you just have a bad worker in them. Think Backlash France and Naomi. Or are for no reason other than to prolong a feud by having one of the 3 take the pin so the 2 other guys can keep feuding. Bronson Reed eating the pin at King of the Ring so Sami and Chad Gable could keep on feuding at Scotland. But these guys have had issues on Raw for a while and build to make that worthy of a triple threat. Again, it was a fast, fun match that kept moving and kept up the animosity between the 3. Michael Cole, damn it! What does Sheamus have to do to win the title? After a big knee to Kaiser's face popped me, and I know it popped you too, Sean. This finish was electric, and Braun winning was fun. Kudos to all 3 guys. Woof, woof, woof.
I thought Rhea already triggered the furries.
Well, apparently not.
I mean, you do you, Skyler. I'm not judging, but anyway. Well, we are halfway through this shenanigans, and now it is time for the world title match, also known as Who Would Like to Rewind the VHS of SummerSlam?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Right down to the finish.
I mean, it's literally the same match. Gunther versus Priest. I'm sorry, I don't typically laugh this hard at my own jokes.
I was about to say, you really tickled yourself with that one.
I did. Gunther versus Damian Priest, because it's so true.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
The first thing I wrote down was, I'm not sure where they're headed with this one, and it turns out that this was like, okay, we're going to do the same thing at SummerSlam because we don't really know what to do with this.
Oh my God. You saying that is so perfect because I was just thinking their SummerSlam match was A New Hope and this match was The Force Awakens.
Yeah. It's like, okay, here's the same thing, but we're doing it kind of different, but not really different. But, you know, don't get mad at us when we actually do something different when these 2 have the same match that they had before.
Somehow, Damian Priest rejoined the Judgment Day.
This match was fine. It's not what I typically love. I mean, well, honestly, most of the match was quite good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from both guys. I don't hate the concept of this match. I don't hate that Gunther now has kind of some doubt in him after losing to Cody. I don't mind that Damian Priest now feels like, you know, you haven't really beat me clean, which, to be fair, he hasn't either time. And he goes, and that scares you because you know that there's a good chance that I could beat you. And he's of the stature where you could kind of make the case for that. Right? I actually like this version of this matchup story better than I liked the first one.
It's funny you say that because I actually liked this match more than the SummerSlam match.
I did too, actually. I just think that the finish of this one was kind of tinks.
Dude, like, honestly, I liked this match until the finish. Because it was so repetitive.
Yeah, and well, I did like and we will get there because Damian Priest comes out and he's got the Scott Hall red trip homage, and I'm like, okay, fine. And then Alicia Taylor is this woman whose hairstylist is Morticia Adams. As Alicia Taylor, or as we like to call her, young Gohan or Kid Gohan of WWE. As I write down here, this is some Akira Toriyama Vegeta haircut shit. So we get a colored elbow tie-up, squeeing once again, and letting it congeal so then I can remove it later. And then there was some great tone setting here. Like, they do the armbar exchanges, and then Gunther was kind of pussyfooting around.
Mm-hmm.
And, they did a good job of really kind of making Gunther feel uneasy that Priest might actually have an upper hand on him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I think Gunther has needed, is a little bit of self-doubt, but not so much that, like, he feels like he needs to escape with the belt all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Real quick, since we're right at that part, my absolute favorite thing in this entire match, Damian Priest does a huge shoulder block and then starts selling the arm. Gunther's out on the outside, and he looks in the ring and he sees Damian Priest is favoring his arm. The look on Gunther's face where he was like, "Ooh, an injury for me to exploit." That was so hilarious. That is why I love Gunther. I love that.
You have exposed your injury to me. You have, as they say, done fucked up.
Yes. That little that little character moment was perfect.
Well, and then he really goes into it. I mean, he does the double arm wrench with the back, like the knee to the back by Gunther. And and I think I really love the fact that Priest sold it to where his shoulder was more and more of a factor as the match went on.
Dude, Damian Priest selling was magnificent in this match.
Great. Terrific. And actually, I think this is one of Priest's better matches of the year.
Honestly, I agree.
And that's not to say that Priest has bad matches. He doesn't have bad matches. But it's definitely dependent on who he's working with to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
I think he elicits better reactions with certain people than he does with other people.
Mm-hmm.
But the crowd were kind of into Damian Priest, though. They're ready to be into him. They do the Razor's Edge, but it's a very weak cover.
And I love how Corey Graves was all over, like, his arm is hurt, so he can't do a proper pinfall, and was basically breaking down how to, like, do an effective pinfall and why Damian couldn't do it because his arm's hurt.
Well, that's been big on Corey lately, and he'll be able to kind of add that extra layer of explanation, and that's been really crucial. And that was really a big part of what was missing in WWE commentary for so long.
Mm-hmm. Breaking down the scientific aspect of what's going on in the ring.
And then they do the Kimura with the leg.
Dude, I popped at this Kimura with the head scissors. That is such a badass looking move.
Yeah, oh no, it looks really cool. And then this is the one I popped at, not the one before, but then of course this is where we get Michael Cole going, "What do I have to do?"
And I was like, when he said that, I was like, yeah, Sean's gonna enjoy that.
Well, you know what he had to do? He had to be calm and rewind, because we rewound the clock. And here comes Ya Boy.
I said Ya Boo minus Ya. Because the way they set it up, I liked, because, like, and the way the crowd reacted, I liked. It's just, we've been here before. I feel like we've been here before. I think we've been here before.
Well, here's the I have two problems with this. Number one, if you're going to have this feud continue, why pin Balor as convincingly as you did when you feuded at Bad Blood?
I agree with that. That was another problem I had with this.
You and I talked about that at the time, that we were like, why have Balor lose this right now?
Yeah.
And now it really doesn't make any sense
Yeah.
if you're going to keep going.
Yeah.
And the second thing is, this to me signifies something concerning to me, is that they're running out of ideas for Gunther's title reigns.
Mm-hmm.
Other than just be a dominant champion. I mean, I understand, like, they're adding layers of like doubt to his character, which I like, but this is stagnant booking.
Yep.
And I feel like this is like, okay, just bear with us. We're kind of just treading water here until we figure out something really good to do. And I don't hate it. You got to do that sometimes. Like, I understand. I get it. Like, I understand.
It very much felt like we're waiting till Mania season to do something.
Yeah,
please stand by.
We got to milk Saturday night's main event in the first half part of January for a bit.
Yeah.
But then we'll get back to this. So just hold up.
Literally the only thing I liked about the finish is after Finn Balor did the stomp, Gunther came over and kicked him in the face because he was like, I didn't want you to do that because I wanted to beat him by myself. I liked that aspect. But
yeah, that fuck need your help.
Yeah.
That was very Undertaker-like, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, going, yeah, I don't need you to be around here. You know, it's like, I'm on. But then finishing him with the, you know, with the actual sleeper hold and to where he passed out, and you know, that's fine.
I also love how, because again, it's Gunther and he's a genius and he's amazing at what he does. He also threw in an armbar with the sleeper hold
because his shoulder was messed up.
Because Gunther is really good at what he does, and I love him.
And it was a good match. It was just, the finish was just okay. Okay. I'm willing to wait it out. I'm willing to wait it out. It's just like, it just felt stagnant.
Yeah, the way the crowd reacted with Braun Breaker winning in the previous match is how I reacted the second I saw Finn Balor. Just, oh, come on.
Yeah. Well.
So I guess I shouldn't have been laughing at the crowd.
Well, you know, it's okay, because, you know, there's somebody who can be a beacon of light and positivity to help bring us all.
Why is this our transition to him every time?
That's right. We have a shining light of ray of hope to bring us to a better destiny, and that's Skyler Greenberg. What do you have to say about this match?
All right. WWE World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther versus Damian Priest. Gunther's World Heavyweight title reign has been marked by a man who has a target on his back and has been testing him with each challenge. Gunther does not feel quite as dominant during the IC title reign because the biggest dogs are after him now, and each time Gunther keeps escaping rather than squashing people. This is the depth I love in Gunther, in that this reign isn't the same flavor as his IC title reign, and does not stand in danger of losing on any given night if he goes up against someone who can match him, and Damian Priest can more than match Gunther's physical. Skyler, that could have been two separate sentences. That was a run-on sentence. And this,
I could hear the clunkiness in that.
Jesus. And there's also two periods for some reason. I like this match a lot. It was one.
That's a super declarative sentence. You know, he really means it.
It was one period short of an ellipsis to make the sentence even longer.
That's right, kids. So if anyone ever grades you, if any teacher ever grades you for mistakenly put two periods at the end, that's a super declarative sentence.
And the next sentence, really meant that one. The best part is the next sentence actually has an ellipsis. I like this match better than the SummerSlam match, given how physical and tough it was, ... until the finish. Basically the same thing that me and you felt. Look, I'm all for Gunther retaining his title, but not to prolong the Judgment Day versus Damian Priest feud that has been deader than you can imagine. What was the point of the result at Bad Blood if you were going to pull the same playbook? Literally what me and you just said. This is something Triple H has to learn about booking, and can learn when to end a feud, because this ain't it, Chief. Again, happy Gunther is still champ and Priest look good, but weird booking strikes again.
He's not wrong.
Despite the sentence structure issues, the point remains the same.
Well, you know what he didn't get the chance to say, but somebody in this round of hype leading up to this main event did get to say is, I love you so.
I love Jacob Fatu.
Okay. So this was obviously a play on, and you wouldn't know this, Josh, again. This is where I wish Skyler were actually present with us, bringing his airplane hanger. Is that, folks, you don't know what we mean by that, but if you
Sean,
listen to
in
some of the
one
previous
sentence,
episodes, you can figure it out.
Sean, in one sentence, you managed to backhand compliment both of us.
I love you both. You are both friends of mine. I'd like to emphasize that. But you wouldn't, because it has to do with sports. So on NBC on Sunday Night Football, every so often they do a cut to like, oh, let's bring you to the San Francisco offense. And then they'll bring in all these players and they'll go, hey, Darius White, Los Angeles, University of Los Angeles, or, you know, whatever. Right? They'll name their college, but then there are some players that just don't care. They'll just like dick around with them and be like, Hogwarts. They'll be like Tyson Elementary, and they'll be, you know, they'll just start dicking around with it. This, to me, was not only just like a fun spoof on that, but it also reminded me of like the Royal Rumble vignettes from the early 90s, where it was just like them introducing themselves and being like just adding a little extra flavor to their gimmick. I know a lot of people thought this was cringe. I loved this.
I just thought it was weird.
But this was like, this is exactly the right amount of like quasi sports presentation, but it's still wrestling.
As the non-football guy of the three of us, this flew right directly over my head and is still flying as we speak.
I knew it would, but for the quasi sports presentation that WWE gives, this was a quasi sports bit that they did, and I was totally on board with it.
You were quasi-sports entertained.
That's right. And but you know, there's two different modes. I didn't want to go into the quasi mode, you know. But I'm not hunchbacked yet. But maybe I will be after this main event. It's WarGames for real, as I wrote it in my notes.
Oh, the accuracy in that statement.
I hate to say it, but it's the truth.
I hate that we're not allowed to, well, that it's heavily frowned upon for us to say it, even despite how true it is.
It's the it's the old bloodline versus the new bloodline. As the new bloodline comes out with Bronson Reed, who pulled his best Edge impression, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
And they all come out as a unit, and they're all wearing black because the bloodline is all business. And so then all of the baby faces come out individually. You know, we're here in Sammy's hometown of Canada.
One of his 47 hometowns.
And they actually made a point to mention that.
Because they listened to our show.
They did. Cole was like, he's in his home country of Canada. I'm like, it's on the complete other side. That's like saying that here in Connecticut, if I were in LA, I'm in my home country. It's like, it's the complete opposite side of where Sami Zayn is. He cannot say that Vancouver is his home state. Like, you can't do that. It's the same. But it's still, I thought that was really funny.
I can't wait till WrestleMania is in my home state of Las Vegas.
But yeah, literally. It's yes, me and my home country of New Mexico. But then I have to give them credit. As much as I have cringed at the amount of overness Jey Uso has been without really deserving it, they are obviously not they're not shy to the fact that he is selling more merch than anybody else, because he came out dead last. Not only to start this match where he actually threw punches, proud of you, but the then we get a bit of a blackout. I don't know whether you got that on
Yes,
Peacock,
I did. It's because when CM Punk went over and shoved Bronson Reed, that was unscripted. He just did it off the cuff. And apparently Bronson Reed was not happy about it.
Well, that's what you got to do. And I really liked that when Punk came out and started just scrapping with everybody. The thing I wrote at this moment was, there's going to be a lot of walking around in this match.
Sean, are you clairvoyant?
I think I was incorrect. But what did you think about this matchup before we really get into the nitty-gritty of it? But overall, what did you think?
I loved this match. I very much enjoyed it from beginning to end. This was my second favorite thing on the entire show. Specifically, anything that had anything to do with CM Punk and Roman Reigns.
Yeah, they really sold that beautifully, didn't they?
Literally everything they did with Punk and Reigns, especially before they were technically in the match, was so perfectly to their characters and gimmicks that it made me laugh every time, because I was like, that is exactly what they would do.
Well, and they started with this, and they start doing their deal for a little bit. And so Josh, again, clear something up for me. I don't know how much Legend of Zelda you played.
Not a lot.
But Tamataga's whole thing about like going and like all of that, like
you mean
yeah, that.
Dude,
so
okay.
You may not get this. You may once again not get this, but so is his strength being one of like the Legend of Zelda like zombie or mummies that like just chomp on your head, and you go over there and they just stare at you and they go and you just like are all paralyzed with fear, and then he just chomps on your brain for a little bit and takes some hearts away from you? No, because I'm not really getting it.
I'll take your word for it, but I'll tell you why I love it when he does this. Because the crowd has caught on to it and the crowd does it with him, and it is hysterical.
It is starting to get to that point. This Under the Ring is sponsored by Lowe's. Stop before entry.
Hey, okay, I will give them like we said near the beginning of the show when we were talking about, the women. At least whenever they did it in this match, there was a point to it, and there were less weapons, and they weren't, afraid to use the weapons that they brought in.
No, that's definitely true, but I didn't think, because just considering that Bronson Reed has just gotten his big old belly over the past couple of months, did Bronson Reed really need to bring a weapon in?
Okay, I'll tell you something.
Isn't he the weapon?
Okay, there was one thing that Bronson did, speaking of the chairs, that I was like, okay, that wasn't necessary. When Jay threw that chair at him, and he, like, used his hand to smack it out of the air, that was cool, but then he held his arm in that one spot to just make sure the crowd understood what he just did. And I was like, all right, that was a little corny. But then Jay immediately saved it by going, oh shit. Yeah. That made me laugh.
Well, and then Jimmy comes in, and he had a great whisper in the wind, I thought.
Yes. And everyone on X had the same exact opinion of Jimmy Uso's performance in this match. Where was this at WrestleMania?
Dude. Come on!
Come on!
Come on!
Come on! Super kick. Super kick. Super kick. Hey, Sean, have you seen any super kick lately? Super kick.
Checks notes. Come on.
Checks notes. Super kick.
Yeah. Well, and then his tongue was bleeding, and
which added
that's
to
not
it a
really
little bit.
Related, but we got some juice somewhere at least. And then, like, I understand why they put in Jacob Fatu after this, but I kind of thought that one of them should have been later, but it worked. Mm-hmm. It worked. And then Jacob Fatu does this handspring leg kick to the moonsault.
Yes.
And I'm like, dear God, this dude, Jacob Fatu, I knew how good he was when Skyler and I were doing the ACPW versus NWL stuff. Mm-hmm. But this match.
Yeah, this was I also saw him wrestle Jey Uso on the previous SmackDown. Both that match and this match was where I was like, yeah, I get it. I get why Skyler was so high on this dude. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I knew he was good, but this match was next level for him. Mm-hmm. And, and then we get the tension. Mm-hmm. As Roman holds Punk back.
The look on Punk's face was hysterical.
And Punk's like, oh, hell no. And in comes Sammy, and they do the slap and dap. And then we get the hardware store stop from Tongaloa.
Mm-hmm. And then someone in the crowd goes, Tongaloa sucks! And then someone else in the crowd went, I second that!
Yeah, it was very loud. It was very loud.
And I don't know if it was at this moment or later on, but then, if you thought the handspring kick that Jacob Fatu did, you know what he does next? He does a Rey Mysterio leg bouncing off the rope moonsault and then gives the camera the crazy eyes. And I'm just like, this dude is $1 million.
He is money, man.
Yes.
And then this back and forth they had with Punk and Reigns.
Dude, our criticism that Roman Reigns takes forever to do anything, CM Punk unanimously agrees. He was like, dude, get the fuck out of the way. You take too long. It was so
hilariously funny.
Yes.
I mean, even just them when they're like posing on either side of the cage, like where Punk's like kind of rolling his eyes.
Yeah.
Which, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's going to be a meme.
Yes, and it was.
Without a doubt, that's a meme. And within 24 hours, I saw somebody use that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, yeah, that's definitely meme material. And, but then Roman Reigns is about to walk his way in. Punk's like, nah, just get out of the way, dude. Like, I got this. And then Punk stops at the hardware store, and at least this is, like, feasible. He brings in a toolkit.
Yes.
He brings in a toolbox. CM Punk, the only person I am comfortable in the WWE or as a wrestler comfortable using basic tools. He is the only one like, okay, he might actually get it.
And then, dude, I'm not even joking, when he did the Bulldog on Jacob Fatu on the toolbox, and I was when he was running in for the Bulldog, I was like, I hope Jacob Fatu no-sells it. And then he does and starts shimmying around the ring like a lunatic. I was started marking out. I was like, yes, kill him, Jacob.
Dude, that moment, I think, made Jacob Fatu.
He's so good.
Because you know what that was? It was a mix of Umaga. It was a mix of the Boogeyman.
Yeah.
It was a mix of it was a mix of just like, and it was a mix of Afa and Sika with those crazy eyes. He's got so much going for him,
dude. And
it was just terrific,
dude.
And it was just amazing. And I love Solo just barking orders.
Yeah.
When he comes in, he's really. You want to talk about most improved wrestlers?
Mm-hmm.
He has come a long way developing who Solo Sikoa is. I think he's been very identityless over the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
He has done a lot to change that in this calendar year alone.
Being the fake tribal chief usurper is like the best gimmick that you could have given him. He's so good at it.
Yeah, but it took a minute to get going. It was a diesel engine with him.
Yeah.
Because at first we were all like, oh, no, he ain't ready for that. But he earned it.
Mm-hmm.
He earned his way into that, and I really do give him a lot of credit. I give him a lot of credit for that. And then now I'm skipping a lot here because I was just enjoying this matchup.
Yeah, me too.
Roman Reigns comes in, and he does the crossbody, which was great.
Mm-hmm.
But then the ref, because Solo padlocked the door, not letting Roman Reigns get in until he just went up and over. But the referee couldn't get into the ring because of the padlock, and they kind of milked that for a little bit. And then they do, and then we get to another part. This is the one thing I didn't like about this match. Every single men's WarGames match has to have the battle lines have been drawn where 5 guys stand in one ring, 5 guys stand in the other ring, and they go, you guys ready? Okay. And then they just meet in the middle and start doing a hockey fight. Every single men's WarGames does it.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It's just like, come on. But then things pick up.
Yes.
Because Punk is about to hit a GTS and Roman Reigns spears him by accident.
Okay, on that there was a teeny tiny bit of miscommunication on that. That was the only time in the match where anything was even remotely sloppy. Whereas in the previous War Games match, it was like that just about every 10 seconds. Just saying.
Yeah, these were kind of like the yin and yang matches of each other.
Yes. And we're going to keep pointing that out until you stop fucking doing it.
I know. Literally. Well, but then, Jacob Fatu, I got to give him credit too. I forget what he did. He did some sort of jumping something.
Mm-hmm.
But he starts selling his knee. But every time that Jacob Fatu is thrown out of the equation in a match, it's because he has hurt himself.
Yeah.
Because he is protecting his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody hurts Jacob Fatu, really. Jacob Fatu does, because tweaking a knee or busting an ankle or something, but he is never getting beat. Or he's never in a position to get beat. And I find it really interesting how they protect Jacob Fatu. Punch to the dick.
Yep. I loved how frantic and desperate Roman Reigns was with the dick punch. And then the spear out of nowhere. Like, he was like, I'm just throwing just everything I have right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hail Mary. Hail Mary.
Yeah, and the desperation of everyone. And then we get this moment where Roman's on the table and Bronson Reed is ready to go. I love you, Edge.
Yeah.
And do this splash off of the top of the cell. And he goes to do the big splash, and he sure does it, but Punk pulls Roman off it, and Bronson Reed break his feet.
Yeah, he doesn't have any ankles anymore, but two things on that. One, CM Punk could not have timed that more perfectly. Two,
yeah, it was pretty close.
Yeah, it was a little close. It was a little close, but like at the last possible second. Two, I saw a video on X earlier today. It was zoomed in and slow-mo of Bronson Reed landing feet first on that. Ow. That hurt my ankle. No good.
Yeah. And now Bronson Reed is going to have to release some sort of plank device to follow in his hero Edge's footsteps. Imagine Bronson Reed comes back and he's got like a shredded six-pack.
Comes back and the first thing he does...
in my absence.
When is he doing the rah-rah speech for WWE saying, I love wrestling in WWE. Stop criticizing how we use Rhea Ripley.
They rename him the Bronson Strowman. Yes, I could see it.
Oh, no.
The hero, Bronson Reed, he's going to switch hockey jerseys with his best friend and do hockey punches with him in the middle of a feud where they said, go fuck yourself because I like men or whatever the patriarchy does, or I don't know. I don't follow AEW enough. But in any case, Punk saves Roman. Then we get some tech issues. Then we get a 1D.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get more molasses top cage spot set up.
Yeah, that kind of irked me as well, because I was like, yeah, Jacob's been on that table for a long time. And
but
they have to make sure the Tongans don't get involved while Jimmy is just waiting.
Right, but Jimmy gets his moment, and yeah. I'm like, okay, good for Jimmy. He got his moment.
Yeah, could have been a little bit more urgent considering that you're in War Games, but whatever.
Yeah, and there was an interesting moment where Solo ended up realizing he was on an island, which was kind of the finishing moment where the OG Bloodline just take him down. But it was an interesting moment where Lee Fitting, like, Charles Robinson goes down for a count, and then he flips the camera so you can't see Charles Robinson, but you do see, what's his name, Ryan Tran or Mike Tran or whatever his first name is, I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
You see him in the other ring while Charles Robinson is counting right next to him. So you're seeing 1, 2, 3, but you're watching a referee just kind of stand there and watch.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of a mind fuck. Like you're hearing the ref count, but you're seeing the ref not move. It was like a WWE game glitch. Where you see the count, you hear the count, you know the count's happening, but you just see like a ref just like T-posing. It was very weird. But it was a good War Games.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I loved the finish.
And the finish was good.
Yeah, they took out everyone, and then they just mercifully finisher spammed Solo Sikoa until he stopped moving. Which, considering the storyline they've been doing, was a perfect way to end it.
That was the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was a good War Games. And then I loved at the end of this where, like, Roman Reigns hugged every member, and then Punk hugged every member, and then Roman Reigns and Punk kind of stared and shook and said, all right, one time, we did it. And Paul Heyman's going, yay, I be the happy.
And then 10 minutes later, we were still rolling. And we're still, we're still rolling.
And then Punk actually went to the back, and they pulled him back out to do the final pose. And then I loved how he kind of pushed his way into that bloodline to be like in the middle, in the center of attention, kind of to just like play into that a little bit. And Corey Graves goes, what was the favor? And it was good. It was a good show. It had good outcomes. It was fine.
Yeah.
It was just fine. What did Skyler have to say about this main event?
Okay. Men's War Games OG Bloodline versus New Bloodline. And now the Superior War Games match. We're going to do this every year for as long as they make us suffer with women's War Games. I can already tell.
We'll keep making the same point.
Yeah. The difference is generally better wrestlers with a bigger story that requires a team up versus a common enemy. Of course, the Bloodline storyline has been going on for 4 years, and in order to keep it compelling, new elements must be added. Everything with Roman Reigns and CM Punk was A+ gold and worthy of recognition. Agreed. Side note, Tony Khan, were you scared for your life when CM Punk pushed I can't speak. Tony Khan, were you scared for your life when CM Punk pushed Bronson Reed's face in the cage? Fuck Tony Khan counter 3. The only issues I have with this match is the spots with Bronson coming off the top of the cage and hurting himself, and the constant milk that Roman Reigns matches tend to do. If Bronson was the only one to do it, then fine, but the women did it before and it wasn't special, and Braun got himself hurt because of it. And Roman Reigns is so slow, CM Punk had to take his spot because Punk is the voice of the voices and said, fuck this, you take too long to move. And did it himself, which is a commentary on, one word, how much Roman Reigns milks. Another massive run-on sentence, Jesus. Paul Heyman wants that Oscar award and will do whatever it takes to get it, agreed. OG Bloodline win, and Paul Heyman hands CM Punk a favor that will make things interesting in the future. Roman Reigns, meanwhile, is not suspicious of both Punk and Heyman. Solo's bloodline is cold and dead for now and will need time to rehab before we figure out the next steps. Jacob Fatu, however, is amazing, easily the best on that side, and only a matter of time before you put a world title on him.
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything you said on that either.
Yeah. Do you want me to go ahead and go to the conclusion for Skyler?
Yeah, let's hear what Skyler had to say. Let's get his ratings, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
All right. Like a condom on a penis. Conclusion, or I guess you could say the climax. We didn't even get one Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens feud that will certainly be interesting on Saturday night main event. That was a weird sentence. WWE has such a strength right now in that they are so hot, they don't necessarily need its biggest stars to sell tickets. The brand is so strong and it sells its own and will continue to do so as long as WWE keeps up the booking. Parentheses, with advice Triple H takes from myself, Sean, and Joshua. I wouldn't say Survivor Series was a bad show, however, it lacked the high moments required for me to give it a higher score. I still land on 6 out of 10 for the good action we did get and the storyline advancement. Either way, I will see you next time for whatever podcast happens next on CMP or TAW. Bay Area Brawler out.
Alrighty. Well, I'll do something atypical, and I guess I'll go second this time.
Okay.
Because I typically end up being the creamy Oreo filling in between you two black cold Oreo cookies. And
did you just assume my race?
Yes, I did. I'll do it again. And but in any case,
all right, double down.
This match was a double stuff, bitch. Anyway,
all right, Finn Balor, calm down.
Anyway, yeah, I'll cream all right.
It's not Yabu, it's Ya Black.
Anyway, this is in any case, so here at Survival Games
Christ.
2024, here's the thing. Every match steadily got better, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though I really liked LA Knight and Shinsuke, like, every match had something more that it contributed to the night. Which is good. If you're going to do a show like this, that's the way you want it. That being said, I think we kind of blew our wad a little bit with the initial Triple H booking. Because they knew that just giving the people what they wanted, because Vince refused to, because he was the ultimate tease, just giving the fans what they wanted and just finishing a story, period, was going to be enough to keep people hooked and sell record numbers. Kind of alluding to what Skyler said. So the booking doesn't even have to be that good on a night like this night. It doesn't have to be bad, and it wasn't. It was still good and things made sense, but you can't convince me that this was the most, like, big-brained booking night that they've had in over the course of the year. This is like, it's like middle of the pack for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not bad. Middle of the pack for WWE now is still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The standard, we mention it all the time, but the standards have changed. So in that respect, it was an okay show. It's a 6.5 for me. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
But is there anything that I'm about to, like, I'm desperately itching to go back and watch of this match, of this show? Not especially. So, you know, it was fine. It was fine.
Okay. And I will close out the trifecta with my thoughts. I thought this was a good show. Not one of their strongest of the year, which this has been a year of really strong shows. So it not being one of the stronger ones does not mean it didn't have quality. It definitely did. I would recommend going to go back to watch the Triple Threat and the WarGames main event. It was off to a very, very rough, slow start with the women's WarGames, which again should have just been a traditional 5 versus 5 elimination match. But other than that, and the repetitiveness of the finish of the world title match and some other stuff that we mentioned throughout this review, I thought it was good. I thought it was a good show, and I'm actually going to agree with you, Sean. Fuck you, Skyler. I'm also giving this a 6.5 out of 10. It was a good show, not quite a 7.
Which may lead this to be maybe actually weirdly one of the lowest rated shows of the year.
If this is what constitutes a low rated show, then
we're in a good place.
Yes.
Yeah. Then life is good in the WWE world.
Mm-hmm.
So, and with that said, it's nice to feel this way, to be like, we've had a calendar year of shows where a 25 is a 19 is the worst rated show of the year. There was a WrestleMania that got a 0
out of 30.
So, you know, sometimes you just got to count your blessings. And it is always a blessing to be here rambling to each and every one of you here on the Court Martial Podcast. I'm thinking we might do Saturday night's main event. And as always, stay tuned for the Grapplies at the end of the year. It's going to be a great time, great live stream. It's going to be a wonderful time doing our nominations. We have year-end awards. So stay tuned for that. The Court Martial Podcast will never die. It will never be over, baby. But we do have to go to a commercial break, so while each and every one of you enjoy whatever holiday you possibly care about, we will see you before then, maybe, to review Saturday night's main event. We will be right back.
I think I'm more excited about this year's Grapplies than any other that we've done, because there's so much to pick from. It's going to be very interesting, and I'm also looking forward to Saturday night's main event. But thank you guys so much for watching and listening to our review of Survivor Series. What were your thoughts on the show? Be sure to comment after you like and after you subscribe in that exact order. If you don't go in that exact order, I will find out and I will be at your house very shortly. Bye!